Reggie Jackson's been in the league for a while now. The Italian-born point guard has played in the NBA since 2011, bouncing around from Oklahoma to Detroit, and now in LA with the Clippers. Anyone who watched Reggie in his prime years with the Pistons knew he wasn't bad, he was just inconsistent. Sure, he put up 25 points one night, but he'd followed up with 4 points on 29% shooting the next. His defense wasn't anything special, and he could never master the 3-point shot consistently. Still, he was the third star in a decent Detroit team with Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond, and he's now completed a decade in the NBA, which is an achievement in itself. But this season with the LA Clippers, Jackson has been incredible, so how did this inconsistent mess turn into the best scorer on a serious playoff team? The one thing Jackson's always had going for him is that he's been a nice scorer. Excluding his first 2 years, he had never averaged under 12 points a game, despite playing with talented players such as KD, Russ, Harden, Serge Ibaka, Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond, D Rose, and Tobias Harris. We'll start the story in the playoffs of 2018-19, when the Detroit Pistons played the Milwaukee Bucks in the playoffs. Yes, the Pistons played in the playoffs 3 years ago. And if you think that's hard to believe, the Orlando Magic played the Bucks in the playoffs 2 years ago, and they won a game. What the hell happened? Anyway, the Pistons didn't win a game against Milwaukee, getting swept by Giannis and his team. With Blake Griffin missing the first 3 games, Jackson put up decent numbers, scoring 12, 18 and 15 points, before scoring 26 points in Game 4 despite Blake Griffin playing. This led to Jackson averaging 17.8 points along with 7 assists and 3 rebounds. Jackson showed his class in the 2019 playoffs, but remember what I said earlier, he's notoriously inconsistent. From the following season, Jackson only played 14 more games for Detroit, starting 10 of them. Only winning 4, Reggie put up under 10 points for the first time since 2013, while shooting an abysmal 38% from the field. Eventually Detroit and Reggie came to a buyout agreement, which then led to Reggie signing with the Clippers. And sure, he was a decent player, but I don't think anyone really batted an eye after the news broke out. But fast forward to 2 years later, and Reggie Jackson is leading the Clippers into the playoffs, despite Kawhi Leonard and Paul George being injured. So how did Reggie find a home in LA? When Reggie Jackson made his debut for the Clippers in 2020 on the 22nd of February, he played 23 minutes, but only managed to score 8 points and 4 assists in a 9-point loss to Sacramento. The Clippers went on a 6-game winning streak, but Reggie still never scored higher than 13 points. He finally found his groove with 16 points and 4 assists in a blowout win against Golden State. Unfortunately, that happened on the same day Rudy Gobert touched the microphone, and well, you know the rest. Unlucky timing. In the bubble, Jackson played 8 regular season games, top scoring with 17 points, and averaged 23.5 minutes. Things would go fine in the playoffs, right? Wrong. Jackson didn't score a single point in the first game of the playoffs. He would then go on to score 11, 6, 14, 11 again, and 14 again. All while Luke hit a game winner on him and Kawhi cost him out on national TV. Things got worse against Denver, when LA suffered one of the worst defeats in their history, losing in 7. Jackson played 13 minutes but didn't score in Game 1, and then only scored 3 points in 9 minutes in Game 2. He then wouldn't score again in the series, playing only 5 minutes in Game 3, 1 minute in Game 4, having a DNP in Game 5, and then only played another minute in Game 6 and 4 minutes in Game 7, as the Clips lost in the series they were favoured. It was fair to say that Reggie's Clippers career, and perhaps his NBA career, was in serious danger. With that being said, Reggie will get another chance next season, one that he had to go after immediate. Reggie didn't find that spark he would have liked at the start of the 2021 season. Before March, he only scored over 15 points 4 times, and picked up 3 more DNPs. Reggie then scored 25 points against Boston at the start of March. This set off somewhat of a purple patch, but have a look at these numbers. It's the definition of inconsistent. And it meant that going into the playoffs, no one really had expectations. It was then though, that we were introduced to playoff Reggie. Okay, he scored 2 points in Game 1. Next game though, we saw playoff Reggie. Jackson put up 15 or more points in the final 6 games, including a 25 piece in a vital Game 6 win. In the second round against the Jazz, there was more. In 4 of the 6 games, Reggie scored 15 plus, and even scored 29 in Game 2. But without a doubt, the best we've seen Reggie play was the Western Conference Finals against Phoenix. Game 1 of the NBA Western Conference Finals. The Clippers were playing the Suns in Phoenix, and Jackson exploded. Superstar Kawhi Leonard missed the entire series with an ACL injury, and even though Paul George was still hooping, it was clear that the Clips were going to need someone to step it up. That person was Reggie Jackson. Immediately it became clear that Jackson was the second best player on the court. Jackson came out hot and ended the game with 24 points, 6 rebounds and 4 assists. The Suns won, but Jackson looked great. In Game 2, Jackson once again showed his class, with 19, 5, 3 and 2. And the Clippers would have won if Paul George made his free throws or DeAndre Ayton didn't score this lob. But now LA were 2-0 down, and to make it worse, Chris Paul was playing Game 3 after missing the first 2 games. But despite all the odds against Reggie, he was incredible. Jackson had 23 points, along with 3 assists and 2 steals. Chris Paul held his own with 15 and 12, but it'd be fair to say Jackson outplayed him, especially considering the Clippers picked up an 106-92 win. The Suns would win the next game, but Jackson still dropped 20, and then he followed up with a 23-point game in the Clippers Game 5 win. In Game 6, the Suns closed out the series and held Jackson to 13. But people had taken notice of how Jackson had played throughout the entire series. He had become less selfish while also improving his jump shot and defense. Clippers GM Michael Winger gave Reggie a 2-year extension, and so again to the 2021-22 NBA season. The Clippers started off their season okay. Jackson wasn't scoring big amounts, but he didn't need to. Paul George was playing the best we'd ever seen him play in a Clippers uniform. What was huge was that Reggie was constantly playing over 30 minutes a game. Longtime point guard Patrick Beverley had departed in the offseason, and while Eric Bledsoe and Justice Winslow could play the one, it was clear Reggie was going to play the majority of the position. Things were going fine for LA, as the Paul George-led team stayed in the playoffs despite not having Kawhi. Unfortunately, PG also suffered his fair share of injuries, missing 32 games. This is where Reggie has taken his chance. Without PG-13, Jackson has popped off, averaging 16.8 points, 5.5 assists, and 3.8 rebounds while George has sat out. He's had over 30 twice this year, and truly put the league on notice in the most recent LA derby. Reggie was 2 rebounds and an assist shy of a triple-double, and had a career-high 36 points in the Clippers blowout. Keep in mind, this was only 8 days after he literally skipped, up the court, and hit the game winner against the same opponents. So what's changed for Reggie? Where did this incredible form even come from? Reggie Jackson had a reputation around the league for numerous things, including being selfish and a bad teammate. This was something that stuck out with him after his messy fallout with the OKC, where Serge Ibaka and Kendrick Perkins froze him out of the offense, before Steven Adams admitted that the Thunder didn't miss him once he left. Things didn't get better in Detroit after former Pistons coach Stan Van Gundy called him selfish, and Pistons fans quickly realised the same thing. But now in Los Angeles, things have finally changed. Whether it was an intentional change or just maturing over time, Jackson has done well to get his teammates involved in the offense. He's now ditched that selfish label, and apparently is very popular amongst his Clipper teammates. The way he's changed his game is evident to why he's come so far with the Clippers. I feel like not enough people have been talking about what Reggie Jackson's been doing this year, so I decided to make a video about it. But before I end it off, I just want to say that this success really couldn't have come from a nicer guy. Jackson has unfortunately dealt with depression throughout his career, so it's great to see him flourishing when he once considered retiring. It's also great to see how grateful Reggie has been for this opportunity, whether it be thanking the Clippers for saving him in an interview, or giving out PB and J Barts to the fans. He just seems like an all-around great guy, and I'm glad he's managed to find a home in the NBA. But that's going to end today's video, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Peace.